So good morning. Green light means for thank you. As mentioned, my name is Wes, and I've been a Gideon for 2.5 years out of the Barhead chapter. And COVID really messed things up for everybody, and even the the Gideons. But we kept still doing things. And the main focus was using Zoom or Google Meet and stuff like that, so we're still able to get together. Unfortunately, we all know this, but you're not able to get together, so we had struggling with new ideas for fundraising and stuff like that. Presently, the Gideons / Sherwood Global, they're starting to wind up and create more Go trips, and they're basically missionary trips to other areas. And they're also refocused to try to keep some of the Go missions to the local area, meaning in Canada, in the province, in the city where you live. Let's see. And we've still been able to distribute Bibles, and they were in the Onaway area a little while ago, like maybe a month ago, and we still give out the Bibles and stuff like that to the grade 5 classes, and they're able to give parts of our testimony when we do that. And as a big corporation type thing, Gideon and Sherwood Global have decided to put more of an emphasis on working with the local churches. Finding out what you guys, the local church, might be doing to evangelize, and how can we help? Can we help by providing Bibles? Can we help by going and distributing them with you? And so something they've developed, it's not a fancy word, it's just door hangers, door knockers, but hanging on the doorknob if they're not home, and if they are, you just give this out as a gift. And basically it has the New Testament, and we have many samples, and check them out on the table and that. And by the way, what's ever on that table, except the tablecloth and the card stand, everything else is free for you guys to take. So take as many as you want, and just take them. If I go home with an empty box except the tablecloth, I'd be very happy with that. This is my favorite one, and it's called True North. And I like it because if you're a basketball Raptors fan, we got in, and to We the North. Well, this one, True North. Okay. And then we also provide a brochure with questions that people just have in general, and so we have that in there. We throw in either a Sparks magazine or Hope magazine, and it's just different stories and Bible verses of how the way God has changed lives. And one of the other great things, this little card, and it's got, I can't remember what you call that little thing where you can snap it with your smartphone and you send it right there, but it provides the website to newlife.bible, and it has all kinds of questions that people might have and answers for the Bible. And I'm not sure which one was thankful that the daughter was reading the Bible. Grab one of these, just email her the website, or get her the card so she can do it. Because I have a daughter who's just started reading the Bible since Christmas. And so I'm excited about that too. So with that, I'm not sure what the church is doing presently, but if this is something that this congregation would like to do, the Gideons would love to not only provide material, but a few of us would love to come down and help you distribute them. Now, it is kind of a smaller community, but if you wanted to wait until July or August, when even everyone in the cottages and campers are all here, just something for pastor, the deacon, deacons, right? Elders. Yeah. Baptist most of my life, and we had deacons, okay? We didn't have any elders. Elders are, Anyway, but give that some thought and see if you'd like to proceed that way. We'd love to help out. Um, Presently, I'm a high school teacher at Career Pathways Outreach School in Wabasca. Anybody know where Wabasca is? 3 hours and 20 minutes north of Barhead. So I drive up there Sunday night and come home Friday. And I've never worked at an outreach school before. First day, students don't really want to talk to me. They're nervous. I'm new and I don't know them. Day number 2, I had 9 students in my classroom. Morning break, 10:15. They all go outside. Of the 9, 4 came back in stoned. Then at lunch, 2 guys show up for lunch, and they're stoned. What do? If I tell on them, they might not like me anymore. The principal gets them in trouble, but I got to do the right thing and protect myself and do what's best for them. So I got the principal involved. Day number 2. Day number 3. One of the 4 girls who were stoned is back the next day. She's been in the bathroom a while, and she comes out, bloodshot eyes, really bright. But you can tell when someone's been crying for a long, long time that the eyes get that shade of red, which is a totally different shade than when someone's stoned. And I actually had to talk to her about her assignment. So I take her into the other empty office and say, we need to talk about your assignment. But I can tell you're upset, you've been crying. Is there a chance you might want to tell me what's going on? I'm thinking her boyfriend just broke up with her or something like that, right? Typical high school stuff. She started crying again. And she told me through her tears, my cookum, which is grandmother, and my aunt are going to, I think it's Hay River. I know it's not High River, but over to Hay River, because my mom has been missing for 3 days, and the police can't find her either. That's day number 3 of work. Lord, why am I here? What? I don't know what to do. So it's been a challenge, and I only started March 15th. And so it's been a real challenge and a real wake-up call. And in that conversation with Emery, I said, the best thing I can do is pray for you. And I said, I am a Christian, I believe in Jesus, and I'm not here to convert you today, but the best thing I can do is to pray for your mom's safety and for your emotional sanity. So I'm going to pray for you. Really, Wes, you would do that for me? Yeah, because you're worth it. And she left crying again. I am so scared. Because I'm just scared. And I hadn't seen her. After that day she left, I had not seen her for a week and a half, and I had no idea the situation where her mother was. Was it good or bad news? And finally she showed up again, and she told me that her mom is back now living in the Wabasca area with them. So the mother turned out to be okay at the end. And Wabasca is so far north. I got sick, went into the hospital, and I think my doctor was also a vet, because I think I saw 2 dogs and a cow trying to get in the back door. It is, and the worst, the dogs got out before I did. Anyway, there's 2 great fears I have. 2 major fears. And the first one stems from my father passed away when I was 13, and the day of, my mom and my 1 brother, 4 sisters, they all had friends surrounding them, helping them. And I was left all alone, unintentionally. Nobody. And so my biggest fear in life is somehow, some way, I will be all alone. And so that song, we said, I'm a good father. You're never alone. So I cling to that song and those type of Bible verses. But sometimes I forget that, and I feel so alone. The second fear is sometimes I think I hear God's voice. He's asking me to do something, and I think it's God, but I'm not sure. Some people just get that. Like they know God is speaking to their soul, their mind, and they know it's God. And I've had that a couple times. So I think I hear God's voice, but my fear is, no, it's just Wes. So, and I'm really nervous to continue on any further because throughout the week, a couple weeks, I've been praying, thinking, and last week, I typed out 90% of the message and stuff like that. And I'm ready to go. Friday night, just got back home, saw my wife for the first time in 2 weeks, happy to see her, and we're hanging out, catching up, and we talk every night on the phone, but it's still so different when the person's physically in the same room with you. I wake up Saturday morning, still in bed, and I open my eyes, my first thought, I hear, Wes, you're not a preacher. Well, okay, what now? He says, you're not a preacher, so you can't preach tomorrow. But Lord, I can't leave Pastor Hindra, and I'm still in bed, and I'm trying to wrestle with this. And I already know, and I'm okay, like I'm not this great orator that's going to blow you away and stuff like that. That's not the way God created me, and I'm okay with that. I love to tell stories, so if I could, I would love to write a book. And I've tried, but I'm just not that good at it. But I love to tell stories. And then the Lord reminded me, one of my greatest assets is I love to talk to people through conversation. I can talk to just about anybody about anything. That's my gifting. I'm not a preacher. I'm a good storyteller, but I love to talk. So today it's not a message, a traditional sermon. So I'm hoping we can just have a conversation. And I'm scared, telling my wife I might get tarred and feather at the end of the service. So I'm just going to try to have a conversation with you guys today. When is the last time you shared your faith? And I'm going to say, last time you shared your faith using words. Anybody? You don't have to say when, but do you remember? Put your hand up if you remember the last time you actually used faith or words to share your faith. So you remember the last time. How did it feel? Were you scared, nervous? Probably a little bit of all. No? See, and I waver sometimes too. And I remember the first time I shared my faith. I was 16 and working as a counselor at Graphite Bible Camp. Sorry, this is just a little too tight, especially for a conversation. So I'm a counselor at Graphite Bible Camp, and I did not share my faith with the counselor. I come home, I went up and had a cup of coffee to talk to my neighbor Mary, and what are you doing at Graphite Bible Camp? What's it really all like? And I told her everything's going on, and I explained who Jesus was, the way of salvation, and the purpose of it. And she goes, well, do you think I could do that? Yeah, of course, that's the whole point. But I'm 16, so nervous, didn't know what to do, so I flipping through, the little 4-step salvation, whatever, original, and I'm just freaking out. So I prayed the humble prayer, and God could hear, saw her heart. And she went to church the odd time after that. And then 4 years later, her and her family, her husband Peter, moved to Belleville, Ontario. And Mary told my sister Vi, tell Wes I now understand what that day was all about. Okay, and so I lost contact, and so I went and got contact back, and I reached out, what are you talking about? She says, well, that day in my kitchen, we prayed and I accepted Jesus. I then led my husband to the Lord, and we've been going to church faithfully. We've been going to Bible study, and we've just been sharing our faith. Mary married Peter, and now it's Pastor Peter Panabaker. And just that one petrified 16-year-old boy who went up to visit and told a story, had a conversation with my good neighbor, and now her husband's the pastor. God works in mysterious ways. So, how do you share your faith? How does someone share their faith? Any volunteers? Something you've done? Or okay, and I know. And it's part of the school teacher in me, right? Ask the question, wait, long, pause. Don't make eye contact. You make eye contact, I'm going to call on you to answer, okay? There's many ways to share your faith, but there's no wrong way. There is no wrong way. If you have accepted Jesus into your heart, then you are a Christian. You are a child of God. You are His. What's He doing in your life? That's your story. And that's all we can offer, is to tell people what Jesus has done in our life. There are some other examples, and I want to say this carefully. We all share our faith with our actions and deeds. People see us. I'm a Christian, and they're watching, so I share my faith by my actions. However, actions have never got anybody into heaven alone. And a devout Muslim lives a very holy, meaning set apart life, just like Christians do. So, Wes the Christian here living a good moral life. Muslim, whoever's living the same loving life. And the person in the middle is just looking, no. So somebody has to use words. We have to use words. So, I want to, when I accepted the Lord when I was 13, and I'm going to church. Great little church, small little community. I think we'd get maybe 20 people out, 25 on a good Sunday sort of thing. Lots of kids though. Everybody seemed to have a perfect life. Youth group, those kids who were Christians all their life, they got it all figured out. They're just strong, devoted Christians. There doesn't seem. And so that's how I thought I had to be. And so we're going to listen to a song up here, and then I'll come back. Borrowing Matthew West's words, I'm broken, I'm hurting. Past 2 weeks, I've been struggling with stuff, and again, I'm all alone, so that made things worse. I'm broken. And yet, what's your favorite miracle? There's a lot of great ones in that. But the biggest miracle in mine is actually not found in the Bible. I'm going to say four greatest miracles that have happened to me in my life. When I'm 13, somehow, some way, Jesus took the scales off my eyes. He opened my heart's door, and He revealed Himself and His love to me, and He accepted me. Miracle number one. Miracle number 2 is I'm a sinner. I battle. I fight. In the past 2 weeks, I actually lost more battles than I won. And yet, somehow, God still chooses to use me. I have no doubt about his love. I never questioned that. I did not question, am I still a Christian? Am I still a child of God? I know that with every fiber of my being. But the miracle is, even in my brokenness, in my sinfulness, God still chooses to use me. Miracle number 3 is God has given me such an amazing woman that I'm honored to call my wife. And she sees and knows my brokenness. She sees every one of my sins. And she still chooses to love me and want to be with me. And God has blessed me with 4 daughters. And it's the same. They know, not all, but they know what I'm struggling with. They know what I go through. And they just call to support. They don't question it. Dad, you're hurting. We see it. We're sorry, but we're there for you. Wow. So, the next thing, and I'm outside going for a walk, because I didn't know how to perceive this. I was hoping more as a conversation than a sermon. I've never ever done this before in my life. So I'm still fumbling, and I usually have everything typed out, but I just wrote it out at the kitchen table. And some notes don't make sense anymore. Okay? But why share your faith? Why do we share our faith? Well, we read in Mark 6, starting at verse 7. Find it here. And he called his 12 disciples together and began sending them out two by... Nope, that's the wrong one. Mark, go. Oh, yeah. Sorry. After Jesus rose from the dead, early Sunday morning, the first person who saw him was Mary Magdalene, the woman whom he had cast out the 7 demons. She went to the disciples who were grieving and weeping and told them what had happened. But then she told them that Jesus was alive and she had seen him. They didn't believe her. Afterward, he appeared in a different form to 2 other followers who were walking from Jerusalem into the country. He rushed back to tell the others, but no one believed them. Still later, he appeared to 11 disciples as they were eating together. He rebuked them for being stubborn, unbelief, because they refused to believe those who had seen him after he had raised from the dead. And then he told them, "Go into all the world, preach the good news to everyone. Anyone who believes and is baptized will be saved." So, fulfill the Great Commission, right? Go into all the world. Jesus asks us to sometimes translate from English the verbs there, like, is he asking us to go or is he commanding? Don't really know the verb tense in the Greek. However, either way you look at it, he's asking you to go. He's commanding you to go. But not as a strict disciplinary, go or else. He's never once forced me to share my faith. He's put me in many situations where I started to walk away, and there's too many I didn't even. And I always felt bad and guilty about that. And I've confessed that as sin. And he has forgiven me. But the situation he puts me in, for some reason, I'm the right person at the right time. And that's who you are as well. I do not know a single person in Alberta Beach. And I know one person, because she was a teacher with me at ADLC in Gunn. So this whole little community around here, and no one in Lake St. Anne, I didn't even know what that was. Okay, I actually had to look it up to see what is that like. Anyway, so I know nobody here. But you do, and you do. You have family members here who are unsaved. You got unsaved friends and neighbors, co-worker. You know the people here, and they need you. They rely on you. They don't see the need for Jesus. So how can we blame them if we don't show it and if we don't tell them? Don't feel guilty, because guilt is an emotion. And once that emotion leaves, nothing changes. If you're feeling convicted, then spend some time today talking to Jesus about it. Why am I convicted? What would you have me to do? I'm out of time, but I'm going to keep going for a few more minutes. If sharing, this is some quotes from my 31-year-old daughter. If sharing the gospel was easy, then we would not need to worry about family, friends, co-workers, neighbors going to hell. If it was easy, we'd all do it all the time. If you and I will never fulfill the Great Commission, if it's because we will not get out of our comfort zone. Jesus is relying on us to get out of our comfort zone, to tell other people your story and why you want Jesus in your life and why you want him in their life. So why share your faith? And I wrestled with this all week, because this is also part of the sermon. I had this great page written out, 99 or 90% done, just finishing touches, and then this all comes up. But why Wes shares his faith? And I know, turn or burn. If you don't accept Jesus, you go to hell. And that's not a great way to evangelize, okay? I simply tell my story, and I want to share my faith. The main reason is because Jesus came into my life, and he changed my life. And yeah, it's rough. It's hard struggle. I sin. And the thing about being a Christian is you know it's sin. You know it's wrong. Co-workers, they go out and get drunk every other night. They don't know what's wrong. They think it's fun. But it's not. So when you are a Christian, you know it's sin. You know you have to deal with that. So I tell others about Jesus because what Jesus has done to me and what he's still doing in me and the relationship I have with him. And I want them to have that same type of relationship. That's the main reason I go. In fact, that's probably the only reason. And I'm not going to have an altar call, but if you're here today and you do not know Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, don't leave here without talking to me, pastor, or whoever you came with. Don't leave here unsure. Jesus will change your life. Everybody here has a testimony. And I can tell you what happened when I was 13. The cool thing about 13, my father was on his deathbed, and believe it or not, a Gideon by the name of Bob Jenkins came down to visit my dad. And he shared the gospel with my dad, and my dad accepted the Lord. And then he turns to me, my dad does, says, well, what about you, Wes? You heard most of this. Well, what about me? Well, Bob, tell him what you told me. And so he went through the salvation story with me, and I accepted the Lord that night. 2 weeks later, my dad died. So that's my conversion story. And I can go on because God brought amazing godly men and women into my life. But my testimony is more than my conversion story. There's a difference. My testimony is, even in my brokenness, even in my sin, God is still using me to tell others about Jesus. My testimony is how God is changing me day after day. That's your testimony. We all have a conversion story, but what's your testimony? And your testimony needs to be growing and changing all the time. I'm going to read Matthew 28, and I just want to read it again. Mark said it, and I'm just going to repeat it through Matthew's words. Then the 11 disciples left for Galilee, going to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some of them doubted. Jesus came and told his disciples, I have been given all authority in heaven and on earth. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I have given you. And be sure of this, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. He's asking us just to tell him what we know about Jesus. And so I have one last song, and then I'll just pray for us.